Hey everyone, welcome to today's training. We're just about to get started here. For those of you I've just seen joining us, welcome everybody to the training today. You guys are at the right place at the right time. If you're watching the replay, welcome to you too. I should mention that when I put up the replay, I'm planning on editing out all or most of the interactive chats here live. You can type questions and answer my questions in the chat window on the right, but I intend to take all of that out for the replay, just so you know. Okay, before we start, I want you to look at these three pictures: a roofer, a cake, and a steak. They're very important, and I'll explain as we get into the training. Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started, get kicked off officially in 3, 2. Welcome everybody to today's training webinar, which is really for the owners of roofing companies. But really, if you're not a roofer, you're welcome to stay, because a lot of what we cover will work for you too. But we're going to focus on roofers, and I can almost guarantee if you're a roofer on this webinar, you are virtually handing sales to your customer. It's like you managed to connect with a prospect and you're calling up your closest competitor and saying, "Hey, have I got a great roofing lead for you?" And I'm only half joking. I'm going to be talking about a system today that is proven to increase sales by as much as 40%, while reducing cost per lead. That's how much you're paying for a single lead, right? By as much as 89%. And honestly, I'm trying to be conservative because there's a range. And you guys are going to figure out today how to do this. So I already mentioned that this training is for the owners of roofing companies, but more than that, this is for you. If you're looking for a proven way to generate new jobs by leveraging what you're already doing, maybe you've been cycling through marketing companies trying to find something that's cost effective, or even if you found a good agency who's getting you decent results, and you're buying, or maybe you're buying leads, or you're advertising in local papers or radio, and you're getting some traffic, you're breaking even maybe, and you're getting an okay ROI, but you want more. Maybe your marketing is inconsistent or unpredictable. Maybe you've been overpromised and undelivered to, but you've invested money in marketing because you know you need to, but you just want, or maybe you even need to get more jobs from all that. This is for you if you're ready to explode your business. You want to dominate your market. You want to be the roofing company. My goal is simple: to give each and every one of you guys and maybe gals an unfair advantage for your business. And that's what we're going to focus on. That's what we're going to do in today's training. Would that be good? Okay, good. Now, before we get into the meat of this, I need you guys to get rid of all your distractions, right? If you're in an office, maybe at home, if you can, close the door, turn off your cell phones, turn off Facebook, any other browser windows you have open, and don't try to multitask or turn me into background noise. Because if you're serious about getting massively better results for your roofing business in the next 3 months, 6 months, a year, better results from your marketing, that is way better results than you're getting now, I firmly believe that in the next 60 minutes or so, we will change your life. That's a fair trade, right? 60-ish minutes of focused attention for explosive growth in your business. Because isn't this true for you? The roofing industry is getting more and more competitive every day. It's a struggle to make your marketing effective, to get noticed. You're either stuck without a real plan to get more customers, or the one you've got isn't doing the job. Because that's the frustration, right, we're finding in a lot of businesses. And if that's true for you, then get excited, because you're in the right place at the right time. And what I'm going to share with you today is going to change all of that once and for all for you. We have an amazing bakery here in Salt Lake City. They make the most amazing cakes, delicious cakes. This one here, this one will cost you $43.95. Yeah, yeah, for a cake. But oh man, is it worth it. We also have a steakhouse called Ruth's Chris. Now, I understand they're in a lot of cities, but we have one here. And you can get this juicy, succulent tomahawk ribeye for $119. Again, totally worth it if you love a good steak. But here's the thing. What if you paid $43.95 for that cake or $119 for that ribeye, and instead of the whole cake, instead of that complete ribeye, you got a tiny slice of the cake and a single forkful of the steak? How would you feel about that? Statistics show that 97% of the people who visit your website leave without taking action. They don't call, they don't write, they don't buy, they leave. 97%. That means whatever you're doing and whatever you're spending to get people to your website, you're only getting 3% of the value. Now, I'm curious, how are you getting visitors, traffic to your website right now? Are you doing Facebook ads, Google ads, SEO? Are you buying leads? Are you doing traditional advertising such as newspapers, magazines, radio, TV, stuff like that? Most established businesses are doing at least one of those, possibly a combination. So there's a lot of money being spent here. You're doing things to get eyeballs on your website, and that's great. That's important. You got to do that. And after all that money and all that effort to get, say, 100 people to your site, only three people are bothering to contact you. The other 97 are leaving. That's the statistic. You've seen that, right? You know that's happening. That should frustrate you, make you angry. But more than that, it should make you ask the question, how can I get more of the cake I paid for? How can I get more of the steak I paid for? How can I get more of the people who visit my site to buy from me? In today's training, I'm going to answer that question, and you're going to be amazed at what's possible, and I'm going to show you how you can do it yourself if you want to. What we're going to go through today, it has one purpose: to make all that stuff you're doing right now better. Now, here's my promise to you. I'm going to teach you today how to increase your sales by as much as 40%, reduce your cost per lead by as much as 89%, and do it by applying leverage to what you're already doing, without the need to abandon what you're doing now or who you're doing it with if it's working, and to become the dominant roofer in your region if that's your goal. Now, I know I'm making bold promises, but by the end of this training, you'll believe me. You'll see just how possible, no, how likely it really is to make this happen in your business. I shouldn't need to do this because what I just promised you should be enough to have you hanging on my every word, begging me to keep talking. But I want to offer you a reward if you stick around to the end, a gift, because I want to make sure I over-deliver for every one of you who took the time out of your busy day to watch this training. And if you're on the replay, I'm not forgetting you either. You'll still get these. Here's what I'm going to give you at the end of this short training. First, you're going to get a list and description of our top 7 client capture partners. You're going to be able to use these guys to work on your prospects for you, quite literally around the clock, 7 days a week. And you're not going to believe me, but you can do it for pennies. I've also prepared a 1-page cheat sheet that breaks down the entire Omni marketing process in a super easy to follow overview, so you can reclaim your missed sales. I'm going to give you that. So that's number 2. And number 3, I wasn't really sure I wanted to do this, but number 3 is I'm going to give you the 65-page instruction manual that our implementation team uses to get this system running. It's literally step-by-step with screenshots and links. With this detailed instruction guide, you'll be able to do for yourself everything I'm going to show you on today's training. This, by the way, is something that I offer to people for $79 when they want to do this themselves. But It's my gift to you for being with me today and hanging around to the end. Finally, I'll give you a resource where you can have others handle all the work for you. So no one's going to be stranded here today. You want to do it yourself, I'll give you the document. You want to hand it off to some tech guys, I'll show you how to do that. Sound good? Great. Just real quick, that's me and my family, wonderful wife. We'll have been married 35 years come this November. 4 kids, 3 absolutely darling grandkids. I'm now the editor of a monthly e-magazine called Marketing Express. I wrote 2 books, Copywriter's Dirty Little Secret and Local Business Mobile Marketing, and I developed an app called The Magic Bullet, which is for figuring out your most powerful marketing message. And my fulfillment team is absolutely amazing. They are a Google Channel partner agency. What that means roughly is, well, there are about 40,000 agencies in the world who are legitimate partners of Google. They get to have a badge on their website to show they're legit. But of those 40,000, about 2,000 are what's called premier partners. So that's about the top 5%. And of those 5%, there are a few hundred who are channel partners. And that's my fulfillment team. So kind of only the top 1% of the world get to that club. So I'm very proud, very lucky for my team to be in that club. The team currently handles a couple $1 million a month in Google money for clients and more on Facebook and other platforms. Anyway, what I'm going to share with you today is, in my opinion, the most exciting thing in the world right now for small businesses. I mean, literally, what you're going to learn today has the potential to explode your business, literally solving your money problems. And if you're curious, here are a few nice things some clients have said about working with me. Karen said, Keith's instincts and suggestions made my offer more irresistible every time we talked. Rose said, I was lost when I began my sales efforts. Keith introduced me to programs that would help my website and ideas to create upcoming programs. I worked with Andy Bell, the creator and owner of the Handyman Matters franchise, and he said, the marketing pieces that have been generated from this process are far more effective and unique to our company. For the first time, I feel we are in control of the marketing. Luke said, implementation of my most important marketing ideas has been a huge breakthrough for me. But to tell the truth, what I'm going to teach you today has nothing to do about my skills, nothing to do with me or my skills or my expertise. That's because anyone can do this. It's a system, and anyone who knows the system can do it. It doesn't require years or decades of study and practice. It's a map. Step 1, check. Step 2, check. Follow all the steps and you're going to get consistent results because the system just works. I'm going to show you why and I'm going to show you how, and you'll agree it's all about the system and not about me. But I do need to warn you that you must commit now. What I mean is, once you learn this system, you need to commit to implementing it right away, because right now, virtually no one's doing this. I mean, only the largest companies and a few in the know are doing it, but that's not going to last. Your competition's going to find out about this before too long. And if they get there before you, it's game over. Okay, so ready? Let's get to it. Okay, so Google last year did a research project. They do a lot of those. But here's a key portion of that research. As marketers, we were taught to master the funnel, a linear customer journey from awareness to consideration to purchase. So if you've done any studying of marketing in the last few years, you understand the idea of a funnel. You guide someone through a process where they first become aware of you, then they start to get to know you, and they understand their problem and your solutions. And they go through this linear process until they buy or go away. But Google continues, this model no longer applies to today's customer journeys. So it's just not true. The journey is no longer linear. If we want to attract and capture customers, we can't think about their journey, their buying journey, as a linear process. Here's an example from a Google slide deck, which I kind of like. Now, this is for a car, so it's a pretty high value item, but I was surprised to see they've done similar in-depth research on the buyer's journey for things like buying a toothbrush, even buying salt. So anyway, here's a 3-month car buying journey. This is actual research of an actual person's journey to making a decision about buying a car. This journey involved 139 Google searches, 14 YouTube videos looking at 89 images, included 69 dealer interactions, 186 manufacturer interactions. And it didn't start with a bunch of Google searches and then go into YouTube and then images. It doesn't work in a silo. It's not a linear path. In fact, if you were to plot it out, it's more like a crazy spider web or maybe a pinball machine. So I guess this isn't the greatest graphic to demonstrate that, but it goes all over the place as people start with maybe a broad search. They're looking for the best 4-door car for families, and then they'll dive into a particular brand, and then maybe they go out here and now they're looking at safety ratings, and they sort of just zigzag up and down and through the process of choosing to buy and where to buy it. And that's the way we buy things today. So if you're a marketer, and as a business owner, you'd better be a marketer. And if you're thinking the old way, if you're marketing to people to get from no idea of who you are to awareness to interest to purchase, you're trying to guide people down a path that no longer exists. So the rule for us as marketers now is our strategy essentially has to be there when it matters to them. And when it matters is all the time. You need to be in your customers, your potential customers' mind, awareness on every device all the time, because you don't know when they're going to hop off from that spiderweb pinball machine journey they've been on to that buying moment. And it's nearly impossible to predict when that buying moment is going to happen. And we can't take advantage of that buying moment if we're not there in front of the customer right then. And if we miss that, everything else we've done up to that point counts for nothing. It's wasted money. It's wasted effort. It's a piece of cake or a bite of ribeye that we're never going to enjoy, even though we already paid for it. Does that make sense? Here's what you need to do, where you need to be to stay in front of the prospect's mind and to be there when they're ready for their buyer's moment. Basically, you need to be running 7 campaigns. And if you look through this list, you'll notice they all have one thing in common. Who here is familiar with the term retargeting? More and more people are hearing about it. They're familiar with the term. Here's the thing, though. You got to do it right. Some people think they're doing retargeting, and they are, sort of, but they're not really doing it the way they need to for best results. But retargeting, it simply means when somebody visits a website, your website, you can show them ads after they leave your site and they're on other websites or other online properties. Now, every one of you has been exposed to retargeting. For example, you've gone to Amazon and you've looked at a particular product, and then for the next 2 weeks, you start seeing that product on Facebook or on ESPN or wherever you go. It's everywhere. It's like you're being stalked. That's retargeting. Retargeting is the only advertising that improves every other advertising. Retargeting is the only advertising that improves every other advertising. I don't care what you're doing. The fact is, it amplifies everything else you're doing to get the word out. If you're doing Google or SEO, PPC, Facebook ads, content marketing, word of mouth, door to door, it doesn't matter. Retargeting will amplify your results. Retargeting is also the lowest cost, highest yielding ads on the planet, bar none. You remember when I said earlier that you need to jump on this now? Here's why. No one is doing it. No one is doing retargeting, or at least they're not doing it right, and I'm going to teach you how to do it right. We did an analysis of 28,593 local businesses over the largest 300 or 400 cities across the United States. And here's what we found. Only 9.4% of them are doing Facebook retargeting, 7% are doing retargeting in Google, and what we teach is omni retargeting, and only 1% of the market is doing that. 99% of the businesses are leaving 10, 15, 20% of their sales on the table. So this is an opportunity for you. It's an opportunity to get the jump on your competition and even to snatch away the 20% they tossed away. That is, the people they managed to get to their site but failed to keep in contact with. These are qualified people you have a chance to reach. So, the first campaign you need to be doing is Google display retargeting. We all tend to think of Google as a search engine, and it is, but Google also buys ad space on hundreds of millions of websites. That's the Google Display Network. You can buy space on the Google Display Network, and you're essentially buying a spot on someone else's website. So, Google retargeting is the first campaign. Gmail retargeting. If you don't know, you can show people ads right in their Gmail account. Now, people spend a lot of time in Gmail, and we can reach them there. And what's interesting is Gmail is a very transactional place. I mean, when people are in Gmail, they're usually in kind of a decision-making mode. They're thinking about doing stuff, not just browsing. In 2018, Gmail had about 1.2 billion monthly active users. It holds about 20% of the global email market, and it accounts for 27% of all email opens. So don't you think Gmail would be a good place to be? You've all started watching a video on YouTube, right? And before it starts playing, you see another video. It's an ad. And some videos actually have ads in the middle of their videos. These are actually remarkably effective, and people of all ages and demographics are watching YouTube videos. There are 1.9 billion active YouTube users, 30 million daily. People actually spend a lot of time there. 59% of Gen Zers increased their YouTube usage last year. Cisco predicts that YouTube will make up 82% of all internet traffic by the year 2022. It's the second most visited website in existence. So there's a massive opportunity to reach your customer on YouTube. Facebook is probably the most common platform used for retargeting. It has 2.38 billion active users, 1.5 billion active users daily. Facebook users are primed for interaction. It's a communications tool, so it's pretty easy to get them into a conversation from your ad. And people on Facebook want special offers. Google Search. Now, we don't normally think of Google Search as a retargeting platform, but it is. And I'll explain how and why. But first, I got to say I've found people get a bit concerned when I suggest Google Search because they know it can cost thousands, and they're not totally wrong. I just checked, and cost per click for roofing contractor near me is $21.16. Roofing repair search was $20.88. Roof replacement was $20 and a penny. You pay that each time someone clicks on the ad. Now, I don't know how many clicks it would take you to get, before you get a roofing job out of it, but just 5 clicks and you're at $100, so it can add up fast. I'm absolutely not against Google Ads. In fact, we provide that service, and it can be very profitable. But my point is, you can get your ads into search for much, much less through retargeting. And the way you do that is you only show the search ads to people who've previously visited your website. So you're retargeting the search. Normally, to show up when someone searches for, as an example, roofing contractor near me, you'd have to pay $21.16 every time someone clicks on that ad. And what do you know about that audience? Nothing really, other than they have an interest in a roofing contractor. But they could be at any stage in their buyer's journey or their consideration process. So instead of that, how about you set it up so you're only paying for people who did search for that, but they've also already been to your website. They've been there before, they've checked you out. And so now if they click your ad, Well, that's a really engaged prospect. I mean, they've been to your website, they've checked you out, they've done more research, and then they chose to come back. They're saying, yes, I'm a willing prospect. Now, obviously, that's going to be a much smaller percent of the audience out there, but they're the most engaged, and it's a really good way to get into search without spending a fortune. Anyone here running ads on Instagram? If you're doing Facebook ads, Instagram ads are turned on by default, and some companies are killing it on Instagram. Okay, we got two more. Google branded search. What do I mean by that? I mean, you should be bidding in AdWords, in Google search, on your company name and variations of it. Here's why. What do people do when they first hear about you? What if it's a referral or someone sees your ad? What's the first thing they're likely to do? Yeah, they're going to search on your company name. And you want to be the very first thing they see right at the top of the page. You want that to be you, your ad, your message. A lot of people don't realize you can retarget people on LinkedIn now. I'm not counting it as one of the 7 most important campaigns because, frankly, LinkedIn uses Bing and is currently a mess to work with right now. But you can retarget on LinkedIn. And we're going to be monitoring that whole process, and hopefully they'll get their setup and monitoring process cleaned up soon. But right now, yeah, it's just so disorganized and hard to work with. I heard somebody say that they're pretty sure Bing is just somebody sitting in a room re-Googling everything. it really feels like that sometimes. Okay, let's look at some real results, some real campaigns. Look at this third line. This is interesting. It's a retargeting campaign on the Google display. So this entire campaign, not just the retargeting, generated 83 conversations. They generated 83 conversations. So that means they called the company or they filled out a form, okay? Out of the 83 conversations from the whole campaign, 16 of them came from this third line from the retargeting. If we hadn't done the retargeting in this campaign, we'd have lost out on 16 calls. We'd have lost out on 16 of 83. What is that, 20% or so? But it gets even more interesting because we're paying $3 per conversation in the retargeting compared to an average of 18 over the total campaign. So in this campaign, by adding retargeting, we got about 20% more leads and we paid 83% less for them. So we paid an extra $50 and boosted our entire conversions by 20%. There's nothing out there I can think of where I can get a 20% improvement for such a small spend. Seriously, nothing. This one is a blended campaign of both Google Display and YouTube. This second line is the retargeting portion. And you can see it generated 160 conversions out of a total of 533 for the entire campaign. That's calls to the company. The cost of those conversions is $19. The average cost of the whole campaign was $31. And the retargeting was just $19. Now, side note, if you look at that third line, that's for branded search. We talked about that earlier. The cost per conversion was just $2.54. You remember I mentioned you need to run branded search. This is why. It's the cheapest thing you can run. But yeah, again, retargeting is almost half as much as the regular ads. Now, I want to point out that these costs I'm showing you, they're for inquiries, actual calls, or actually filling out a form, not just clicks, not just people clicking on your ad. They're actually contacting the company. So here's a 1-week Facebook campaign. The gray there is normal ads. We got 9 new people. The yellow is retargeting. So that's people who've already been to our website. That got 5 additional leads. Over half our leads in this campaign came from retargeting, and it cost us about a third less to get them. Guys, this is why I'm so excited about retargeting. This is why it matters all across our campaigns. We're getting more leads and we're getting them at drastically lower costs. And listen, these leads from retargeting, they're higher quality leads. Why? Because of intent. They've already been to your site. They already know who you are. They've been thinking about you. They've been thinking about their other options, but they still decided to click back to you. I mean, it's a second date, right? Where's the better opportunity going to come from? A blind date or on the second date after they've already been out with you once? You know what I mean? And what are your odds of a second date if you don't call or text them the next day, right? None. Zero. Retargeting is how you get the second date. They're much higher quality leads and they're costing you less money. I don't care how they got to your site. It doesn't matter. You get to stay with them once they visited your site, every single visitor. Here's some research that came out that I found interesting and actually supports the stats I've been showing you. Visitors who are retargeted with display ads, again, that's Google Display, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and all that, are more likely to convert by 70%. I just want to say again that retargeting is the only advertising that improves every other advertising. So, for the past 30 minutes or so, we've been talking about the what. Does the what make sense? Does this light a fire under any of your butts? Anyone thinking maybe they should be doing this if they're not doing it already? Or actually thinking that, yeah, you're going to be doing this if you're not doing it already? I'd guess that some of you are doing some of this. I'm going to show you how to take what you're doing and make it better. I mean, really, really better. So let's get away from the what and the why and into the how. I promised you that this training would be actionable, so I need to cover some how as well as the what. Now, we've only got a short time. I can't go into detail about every individual step, but again, I promised you our 65-page implementation guide. I'll get that to you at the end of the training. There's some effort that goes into it. Some of you will know how to do some of this, and some of you won't, and that's okay. It'll be in the guide, and a quick Google search can also help you with the details. But step one, and this is the most important piece, you need to set up tracking properly on your website. Now, by tracking, I mean to make sure you're capturing every visitor, their source, etc. And you've got all these tracking pixels, as they're called, in place so you can retarget to them. And you've got to do it properly. A lot of people do it half-baked, part way, and I'll show you what I mean by that. Step two, create some ads. If you're going to retarget on multi-channels, and I hope I've shown you that you need to be doing it on multi-channels, it's going to require a lot of ads. Step three, this gets you the lowest hanging fruit because it gets you Google, Gmail, and YouTube all at once, one step to get all three. Do Facebook and Instagram next. Again, you get Instagram automatically by default when you do Facebook, so that gets you another 2. And then finally, you do the Google branding search. And there's a great stat about this that I'll show you in a bit. But if you're up for it, also go for LinkedIn. It's clunky and it's frustrating, but there are a lot of great people on LinkedIn, especially for you commercial roofers. But, even residential, because even though LinkedIn is for business people own homes, right? That said, you can make a killing just doing the other campaigns. Okay, got it? Great. Now, if you're doing some of these, cool, just add the ones you're not doing. Now you look at that and you think, oh, that is really expensive and challenging, but it's really not all that bad. Obviously, it varies, but in general, you can stay in front of, say, 5,000 people across all these channels for about $5 a day. A small business might plan on $100 a month. That would get you about 3,750 views. A medium business, maybe 250 to get 9,500 a month. A larger business might do 500 a month and get 20,000 views. But guys, we're talking about 2.5 cents per view. That's insane. Now, as roofers, you guys can see the power of this, right? I mean, replacing a roof, repairing a roof, these are not spur-of-the-moment decisions, right? It's not like you're driving down the road, you see the golden arches, and you decide to grab a Big Mac, right? It can take weeks, even longer, for a homeowner or a commercial owner to make a decision. So can you see why you'd want to keep in front of them? Yeah? Stay in front of them, stay with them through their entire buyer's journey. So I thought I'd give you a quick look at just some examples of the kind of ads we're talking about. Top left, that's a Google ad, so it could appear on any website anywhere. Bottom left, that's a LinkedIn ad. There in the middle is an Instagram ad. Top right, another Google banner ad. Lower right, that's a Facebook ad. It's just a small sample of the kind of ads we're talking about. Okay, let's go a little deeper. Big step one was setting up tracking. Now, here are the steps to setting up the tracking. Now, I'll be honest, it's kind of a pain in the butt. It's not difficult, it's just time consuming, and you need to follow the steps and follow them carefully, and there's some sub steps. Again, our implementation team follows a 65-page guide, and I'm going to let you have that at the end of the training, my gift, and that will cover all the details. You just have to follow it carefully. So the first thing is to install Google Tag Manager. Anyone using Google Tag Manager? You should. It's great. Think of it as like a container. It's a bit of code. You copy into your website and you put it on every page, and then it holds all your rules and other codes, such as the Facebook tracking pixel, the AdWords tracking pixel, Google Analytics. So you put Google Tag Manager on there, and it's a single place to control everything else. Once that's all set up, if you ever need to make changes, you only need to change it in the Google Tag Manager. So you don't have to go update everything on every page of your website. Like I said, it's great. When you set up Google Analytics, you also set goals. A goal is whatever your desired end result is, what you hope happens when people come to your page. Maybe it's filling out a form, or scheduling an appointment, getting to a thank you page, or downloading something, or buying something, or getting a call. You set those up as goals, and Google helps you track how well you're doing in achieving them. Then you set up lead form tracking. Anyone here have a contact us form on your website, or a free quote form, or someplace where they have to hit a submit button? Track those forms, those submissions. Call tracking. That's super important. If you don't use call tracking, that is a phone number that redirects to your company line, then you have no idea where your leads are coming from. You'll miss out on a lot of insight as to which ads are working and which ones aren't. And it's really not enough just for your front desk to ask, how did you find out about us? Because they won't tell you the truth, possibly because they don't know, they don't remember, or they'll just make something up. But when you have call tracking, it's solid, it's 100% accurate. We won't run a paid traffic campaign unless we've got a unique phone number tracking for every source of traffic we're running. It's that important to us. You can't improve what you don't measure, and you can't measure calls without call tracking. And guys, you can get these tracking numbers pretty dang cheap. Just a few bucks a month, pennies a minute. It's really money well spent. Okay, then finally, you set up tracking for Facebook and Instagram leads. Okay, so you remember that the main step, the big step number 2, was create the ads. Now here's where it gets pretty fun. Basically, we put all our visitors into various buckets or categories. And the first bucket is everyone. Everyone who's come to our site and doesn't immediately buy something. And we can keep in front of those people forever. Well, Facebook will let us display ads to them for 182 days since their last visit to our site. On Google, we've got 540 days they'll let us do it. So yeah, that's a lifetime, a year and a half. That's a massive window to get these people back. Instagram allows 120 days. Now, to be clear, the tracking pixel doesn't actually make people see any ads. What it does is it allows us to create audiences for our ads based on all kinds of criteria. That's how we're putting the visitors into various buckets. And what we see working really well is a 1-week audience, meaning they visited your website within the past 7 days. We show specific ads to them. Then a 2-week audience. These guys get a different set of ads. A 3-week audience, a 4-week audience, then a 30 to 60-day audience. Does that make sense? Can you see why we'd want to show different ads depending on how long ago they visited your website? The reason is because someone who visited your website yesterday or today, they're in an entirely different mindset than someone who visited a week ago or someone who visited 6 weeks ago. So we need to message them slightly differently. And that's where we can have some real fun. The remaining big steps were all about creating the ads in the different platforms. And here's where most companies just get it wrong. People who say, yeah, we're already doing retargeting, my hunch would be two things. One, they're not fully multi channel. And two, they're not really doing a variety of ads. So those ads don't focus on the right purpose. So the way we do it is we set up 4 different kinds of ads. So the first kind of ad you want to create is an offer, something to engage the person who's just been to your website, to compel them to make that first transaction with you. Now, usually this would not be for your main service. It's not, hey, come spend $10,000 on a new roof. It's a smaller first step. If you're picking up girls in a bar, your opening line probably shouldn't be, I want you to be the mother of my children, right? You start out with something a little less dramatic. So, it's a discount, or it's something valuable they can download. Maybe it's for a free inspection, maybe a free report or a checklist. You get the idea. Something to engage the person who's just been to your website. Something time sensitive that gives them a reason to interact with you. We run branding ads. Branding ads essentially say, hey, look how good we are. It's saying this is what makes us different, better than our competition. The third type of ad we run is possibly my favorite and probably the most important, and that is review ads. Reviews, testimonials, they make great ads because it's someone else praising you. It's not you bragging on yourself. And by the way, if you don't have a system for getting consistent positive reviews, get with me after this training, because that's critical for the survival of your business. It's statistically proven that people look for and trust reviews. So why don't we market them? Why don't we advertise them? Finally, we have seasonal ads. Remember, Google gives us 1.5 years to reach back out to people who've been to our website. So we can do seasonal specials, service reminders, stuff like that. Some roofers have extra services like gutter cleaning or even gutter replacement. So that's a seasonal ad you could run. Snow repair, water repair, these are all good seasonal ads. Use it to your advantage and get in front of people at the right time with the right message based on what makes sense for the seasons in your geographical region. There are 3 keys to effective retargeting, or what I call how not to annoy people. The way to do that is to make sure that what you show is highly relevant to them. We'll talk about that more in a minute, but also use variety. People get bored, and then also don't be too frequent in terms of how often you're showing the ads. You remember I showed you the different audience buckets, right? Well, here's what you do with each bucket. The quantity and types of ads to show them. In the first week, when the person is at their hottest after visiting your website, we want to focus on 2 things, offers and reviews. Show them what you got and let others tell them how good you are. Remove the fear of doing business with you and give them a reason to do it. So, show a maximum of 5 offers and 5 reviews in a single day. You can tell Facebook and Google to stop showing ads after each person has seen it a certain number of times. And we found 5 is the sweet spot in week 1. It's enough to get their attention, but not enough to annoy them. As we go into week 2, we're going to broaden our message a bit by including some branding ads, reminding them of our uniqueness, of what makes us special, things that make us stand out. In week 3, we're going to stop showing the offers. They clearly didn't work. So we're going to take those away. And now you're going to see what I mean when I say they didn't work, right? You know what I mean. Week 3 is only for people that didn't bite in week 1 or 2. If they clicked on your ad in week 1 or 2, they're not going to be in the week 3 bucket. They took action. Maybe they bought. So there's no need to be showing them the week 3 ads. So in week 3, we're showing things to people that haven't taken action so far, where it didn't work in week 1 or 2. The offer ads didn't work. So we're showing more reviews. We're showing more branding. We're not showing the offers now. We're building more trust, and we're emphasizing our unique selling proposition. Then we go back to offers in week 4, but not as many. We also reduced the number of reviews and branding we're showing. Now, if someone hasn't taken action by then, they're going to see the occasional branding ad and our seasonal messages. Now, by the way, your highest ROI, your return on investment, is almost always going to come in week 1. And then it's going to get a little lower and lower as the weeks go on, but they'll generally all be positive over time. So one of the things that's so powerful about this is the control it gives us over messaging. We get to control the message that someone is seeing about our business over time, and that's really powerful. Think about that. They came to your website once, and for the next month, we're telling them the story we want them to see about our business. Here's what we've got. Here's what people think of us. Here's what makes us different. Here's why you should trust us and buy from us. That's a really powerful set of messaging that if you craft it right and put some thought into it, you totally control the narrative. One area where businesses screw up in a big way is not taking into account banner blindness. That's where you stop noticing what you're familiar with. You see the same ad too many times and it becomes background. You don't see it. It's like it's not there. So here's how we fight banner blindness, ad blindness. We create lots of different layouts that all say the same thing. You can see here, this is one message. It's one single core image, but they're all quite different. In addition to that, each platform has different sizes and dimensions they support. So for each message or offer, we create 23 different sizes of ads, and we mix up the design of each size in a dozen different ways. That's a whole range of different ads we use for one brand and one message. It's the same message and it fits into our weekly buckets or slots, but we mix them up so they're not seeing the same thing over and over again. Most businesses don't do that. They might do 1 or possibly 2 or maybe 3, but we can do so much more than that, and that's how we fight blindness. It's how we get better than average results. Oh, by the way, here's a great strategy for testimonial ads. Pick 2 or 3 things that make you a better choice than the roofer down the street. Get testimonials that mention those. What are 2 or 3 of the most common objections you get when people are considering you? Talk to some customers and get them to give you a testimonial where they had those concerns but chose you anyway. Any point you want to make about your business or service, find someone to give you a testimonial that mentions it. Who are your main demographics in age, gender, maybe even race? Get testimonials from customers in those demographics and create ads for each of them. You're letting your happy customers do the selling for you, and your potential customers relate better. It's just a matter of identifying the right past customers and calling them up and asking them if they do one for you. Very few will say no. With the Google campaigns, we create the audiences and we cap the ads based on the grid. So that means going into the audience, the Google Audience Manager, and we build out the audiences based on who last visited in the most recent 7 days, a week ago, a month ago, etc. You give each audience a name like week 1, week 2, month 2, simple names, obvious names, and then we create a display campaign, one for each audience, and we also do that for YouTube and for Gmail. So it's time consuming, it's a bit of an effort, but it's perfectly doable. It's exactly the same process for Facebook and Instagram. Create the audience based on the grid, create the campaigns, and upload your ads to each campaign. Now think about what we've done so far. Somebody got to our website somehow from whatever source. They got introduced to us. They were curious. They clearly had some level of interest relating to their roof, right? And now we're everywhere. We're the biggest fish in the pond to them because everywhere they go, they're seeing positive reinforcement about our business. Think how that positions you against someone not doing that. Suddenly, the contrast becomes very big, very clear. You're not working any harder. You're not spending more money. You're just being smart about it. And not only that, but something else wonderful happens. Branded searches go through the roof. It doesn't happen overnight, and it depends on the size of your audience, but Through retargeting, you're generating more curiosity. And what do people do when they're curious? Yeah, they look you up on Google. And because now you're bidding on your company name as a keyword, you're going to be at the very top, and the quantity of searches are going to be much higher. Again, three things. The cost of an ad for your own company name is going to be dang cheap, pennies, because who are you going to be competing against for that search? Two, the people actually searching on your brand or your company name, they are extremely hot prospects. Three, the stats are absolutely clear on this. People click on ads more than they do organic results. SEO is great and valuable, and you should do it, but the numbers don't lie. That's how, and that's why Google has become such a massive and dominating company. So, that's the 7 campaigns you should all be doing. Everyone with me so far? Does that make sense? Have I provided valuable information, actionable content? Excellent. Perfect. So what's next? What do you do now? Each month, you swap out your offer ads with new ones. You add some new testimonial ads, new seasonal ads, annual cycles. Essentially, you've done the worst part, getting it set up. Now you babysit and you keep it fresh, month after month. You throw in some tests. When you do 2 similar ads with just 1 or 2 things different, one of them will always outperform the other. So that becomes your new control, and then you test that against some new ones. If the new one does better, that's your new control. After a time, you've got a finely oiled machine. You're dialed in, you know exactly what works, and you're getting better and better results all the time. Here are the big steps again. Set up tracking, create your ads, build out retargeting audiences on Google, Facebook, Instagram, branded search ads, and optionally set up LinkedIn retargeting. If you're ambitious, and I think you are, don't stop just because they buy. Why not retarget your customers? Why would you do that? 1, to reassure them they made a good choice. 2, encourage referrals. 3, if you also offer services such as gutter cleanings, etc., you can pull them back in for those. And 4, if you can create interesting or valuable content ads, you have a chance of going viral where your customer shares your content with their social network. The reason we call this the omni marketing system is because it keeps you omnipresent. You're everywhere all the time on omni rotation, which means you're constantly showing new messages, so you avoid banner blindness. Omniscient or all-knowing, because it offers you an unprecedented amount of information about our ads, about our audience, and how they are all performing. Omni, of course, means many or all. And the benefit is you control your brand narrative. You stay top of mind. You appear bigger and more impressive than you really are. And you have multiple chances to catch your prospect right when they're finally ready to pull the trigger on their new roof or on their roof repair or whatever. Who sees the value of that? Who sees this as a massive opportunity to explode your business, keep your crews busy? I hope that's all of you. And keep in mind, when we show up on major websites, it kind of gives us a bit of authority, some extra credibility by being on those sites. As I said at the beginning, companies following the omni marketing system are increasing their sales by 37%, and they're lowering their cost per lead by 89%. I will say, we figured all this out the hard way through lots of trial and error. Our fulfillment team has worked with almost every type of business. They manage over $25 million in ad spend, and they're responsible for delivering over 7,000 calls a month to businesses. We went over a few case studies earlier, but I want to show you a few more results to really hammer home just how effective retargeting is compared to cold pay-per-click. Let me be clear. I'm not saying it's better, because retargeting doesn't work on its own. You need the cold traffic in order to retarget. So cold, PPC, pay-per-click, it's a great way to do that. In fact, these campaigns here included both cold and retargeting ads. So what we're going to look at is what the client's goal was for cost per lead. That's an actual call or an actual form filled out. And then show what we actually got them, so what their goal was and what we delivered from retargeting. Then I'll show what the cost per click was for the search ads versus the cost per click from retargeting. The next line is what percent the retargeting cost was compared to the cold cost. Then we basically reverse that, the inverse. What was the cost improvement of retargeting versus cold? Finally, we show what percent the total conversations came from retargeting. So out of all of the different inquiries, calls that came in for the total campaign, what percentage of that was from retargeting? Now, hopefully these numbers aren't overwhelming because they really show the power and cost effectiveness of retargeting. And they totally support my earlier claim that retargeting is the only advertising that makes every other advertising better. Now, by the way, these are 4 different kinds of companies. Only one of them is a roofer. This client was looking to pay up to $120 per lead. Retargeting got them leads for $7.45. Cost per click for the search ad was $12. For retargeting, it was just 30 cents. So retargeting cost was just 2.5% of the cold cost. That's an improvement of 3,900%. That's a number that's nearly impossible to comprehend. In business, when we can improve something by just 5 or 10%, we're ecstatic. This was a 3,900% improvement. In this one, I wasn't able to determine how many conversions came from retargeting alone, so I kept that one blank. This was a roofing client. They wanted to keep their cost per lead to $90. Through retargeting, the cost was $29. Search clicks cost them $8.20. Retargeting clicks, just 33 cents. That's 4% of the cost, or a 2,300% improvement. In this campaign, a third of all their leads came from retargeting. Now, this client is in a very competitive and very lucrative niche. They were willing to pay $450 per lead. We got them leads for $68.48 through retargeting. Cold cost per click was $87.80. Retargeting cost per click, just 37 cents. That's less than 0.5% of the cost of cold clicks, or 23,000% improvement. And 16% of their leads came from retargeting. And finally, this client wanted leads at $95. We got them at $20.10. Cold clicks from PPC were $2.60. The retargeting clicks were 43 cents. That's 16.5% of the cost, or a 500% improvement. And over 1/4 of their leads came from retargeting. I hope you can see the potential here for your business. Now look at this line again. Look at how much smaller the cost of clicks were from retargeting. 2%, 4%, 0.5%, 16%. I mean, dang. And again, this line, this shows what percent improvement in cost over PPC. Astronomical improvements. And finally, you can see here the conversions. Actual calls, 33% of them, 16%, 26% came from retargeting. Now, I know what you're thinking, right? But let's look at the potential here for you. I don't know if you're a small company and you're still swinging the hammer, or if you're a large company with multiple crews and maybe even multiple locations, and you know your numbers better than I do. But as an illustration, let's just focus for a minute on what a single new job means to you. This is for residential, but the same applies to commercial roofers. The numbers will just be bigger. So let's say your average job is $10,000. You probably have about 65% in job expenses. That leaves you $3,500. You take 10% off for overhead, and you've got a $2,500 profit, right? Every new job you get is worth $2,500 in profit. Now, you may have other factors, such as if you pay a salesman's commission, but let's keep it simple and think about what it means when you are getting more results as a result of improving or changing the way you're doing things. Remember, you're already paying in money or time or both to get people to your website. Out of every 100 people you manage to get there, just 3 are taking action. They're calling, they're setting an appointment. And right now you're losing 97% of them. You're losing 97 people. Now you're losing some of them to your competitor. Remember, these are people who came to your site because they were interested in roofing, right? All 100 of them are good qualified prospects, but you're losing 97% of them. And they're going to keep looking. They may be going to your competitor. So when you follow the Omni marketing system, you're putting those 97 people in buckets so they're seeing your offers, branding info, USP info, reviews and testimonials about your company over the next several weeks, and some of them are going to come back to your website, your offer form, your contact form, and some of them are going to call, so you have another chance at getting their business. And as you've seen, this has meant 10, 15, 30% more conversions for our clients. Now be honest, what would 30% more conversions mean to your roofing company, to your own personal income? There are a lot of you on this training, and as I said, I don't know how big your company is or how many crews you have. I don't know your capacity to take on new jobs, but I really want to try to hammer home what the Omni marketing system can do for you. So let's just cover a fairly large range. Again, using $10,000 revenue, $2,500 profit for our hypothetical 1 additional job a month. That means $120,000 in revenue and $30,000 a month for 1 additional job. 10 additional jobs means $1,200,000 in revenue, $300,000 in profit. 30 jobs is $3,600,000 in revenue and almost $1 million in profit. Pick a line for your company. How many new jobs a month can you handle, and how many do you realistically think following this system could get you? Would that be life-changing income for you? Are you getting excited? Can you see how realistic and how doable this is? Listen, I've pulled back the curtain. I've showed you our secret sauce. I've told you what to do, why to do it, and even shown you how to do it. And I've offered to give you our 65-page implementation guide. You're good to go. And this training is not a pitch. I hope you see it was not an infomercial and that I didn't really hold anything back. I didn't throw a bunch of hype at you. Do you agree? But I do understand that not all of you are going to want to take this on by yourselves. You can do this. You can. But I'm the first to admit it's a lot of work. Really, the only way that our team can even handle it is with some automation, systems, processes, familiarity, and economies of scale. You need to set up these accounts with tracking and with goals and add the pixel code to every page of your website, input the ideal settings, create all the ads with different layouts and sizes, and monitor, analyze, adjust, and repeat. And creating all those ads does kind of suck. You end up with 42 different ad sizes across the networks, times 4 kinds of different ads. That's the offers, the brand, the reviews, the seasonal. That's 168 ads. Plus you add new ones each month. So I totally get that it can be overwhelming. So I did put together an offer for you. In fact, at the beginning, I promised to show you how you can get someone else to do all the work for you. This is a service we offer, and I think I showed you how competent and experienced our implementation team is. That's not me, by the way. I'm not the guy who handles the technical and creative stuff. I'm not the guy swinging the hammer. Better people than me are doing that, but I do have an offer for you. Now, if you want to handle it yourself, you have everything you need, and I won't be offended if you leave now. The training is done. Only stay if you like the idea of getting all this done for you at a really good price. It really is a good deal. But I'm not going to pitch it hard. I'm not going to try to convince you. You'll either see the value or you won't. Now, I put together a very special discount for everyone on this training. Frankly, if you've stuck with me this long, you deserve it. I'll say it again, it's totally doable, but it's time consuming to do on your own, and it's easy to make mistakes. The reason we can do it for you so inexpensively, as you'll see in a minute, is because my team has been figuring this out and fine-tuning and automating as much as possible for years. So we have a familiarity and an economy of scale that's just not possible when doing it once or doing it for the first time. The first question, though, really, is do you qualify? Because honestly, we don't work with everyone. And it's more than just like, will the check cash? We only work with people where the check cashes. No, this is only for you if you're absolutely committed to building a real brand and are in it for the long term. You understand that there's no magic bullet for scaling a big roofing business. You understand that investing in your company is the only guaranteed way to grow. Your website has monthly traffic now. You're an established, licensed local roofing contractor, and you're looking for and can handle, that is, you have the capacity for 3 to 10, 20 or more roofing jobs every month. So, who is this not for? Not for people who expect instant results. Not for people who refuse to make themselves available or refuse to provide the information we need to get you set up and running. Not for people who make excuses and complain. Not for companies who aren't currently spending money on advertising. Though seriously, it doesn't have to be a lot, but you need to have shown a commitment to advertising, an understanding of the value of advertising. It's not for people who aren't serious about adding revenue of at least $100,000 if you're small, $500,000 to $1 million if you're larger. We love working with positive people who love their roofing business and are committed to growth. Life's too short to deal with toxic people, and I just don't want to do that. So, if you qualify and you don't want to do it all yourself, I'd like to introduce you to our done-for-you Omni marketing system. You're going to get the Omni Pixel and tracking setup. That's all the stuff we covered today. It's all the stuff I laid out in the 65-page implementation document, and it's probably the least enjoyable part of the process. That has a real-world value of $1,200. But seriously, if you came to me and said, can I pay you just $1,200 just for the pixel and tracking setup? I'd say no, not for $1,200. It's too much work and wouldn't be worth it for us if that's all we were doing. But as part of the package, I think $1,200 is a fair value to assign to it. Ad creation. We'll create at least 4 sets of ads that do at all the various sizes supported by the different platforms. That's at least 168 ads consisting of images and video. Now this part's more enjoyable, but it also requires a higher level talent. So if we said that each ad costs, say, $25, and I don't know where you can hire a competent designer for $25 an ad, but you'd be looking at $4,200. But let's just say this ad, the ad creation portion of this service has a value, a real world value of $3,100. We're going to set up all 3 campaigns, set up the audience buckets. That's a real world value of $1,200. A white glove onboarding call. I'll get on the phone with you as well as one of my techies, and we'll get everything we need from you, get you set up, answer all your questions, get you running. $500 real value there. So that's $6,000 worth of setup. And then each month, what we'll do for you is campaign optimization based on data analysis. There's a $900 value. 1 new ad set per month worth $1,000. Monthly reporting showing you the activity, costs, conversion results, $200 value there. VIP email support, I'd put that at about $250. So a total monthly value on this is $2,350. All right, here's our packages at standard pricing. The one on the right, that's our premium service, and that's not what we're talking about today. So pay attention to the one on the left. That's the Omni marketing system. It includes the pixel tracking and campaigns, the setup. It includes the audience creation, the onboarding call, then the monthly. We optimize the campaign, create new ad set, send you a report showing all the details in the activity. You get the email support, and it includes call tracking. We charge a setup fee of $1,000 and a monthly fee of an insanely low $1,297. That's a lot of service that you get for $1,200. But our webinar special pricing, the deal that I've put together for you, is crazy better. I'm going to waive the setup fee and drop the monthly fee to $897. So what are you saving? You're saving $1,000 up front from waiving the setup fee and $400 every month. That's $5,800 in savings for the first year. Now, I got to say, I should note, this is for our service. You cover the ad spend, which, as I showed you, that should be from $100 if you're a small business getting about 3,700 views a month, maybe up to 500, maybe that much if you're a large business getting 20,000 views a month. Most, if not all of you, are going to be on the lower end of that. So that's a $5,800 savings for the year as a reward for trusting me with your time today, for listening and learning from this training, and for taking swift action. I love working with action takers, and I'm willing to ethically bribe to do it. That's it. No heavy pitch, no pressure. I'm not throwing a bunch of bonuses on it. I've given you everything you need to do this yourself, and you'll get all the benefits we talked about. The only question is how many extra jobs you'll get each month by following the system. And really, the only reason to consider having us do it for you is to save a ton of your time, avoid common mistakes, and really to take advantage of our team's expertise at creating the ads and at keeping the costs down. But seriously, you can do this. I'm not telling you that we're the only ones who can do it for you. You can do it, and I've shown you how, and I'm going to give you the document so you can do it. But if you don't want to do it yourself, we can do it for you, and I've given you a very special price to do it. Really, you have only two risks. One is that you do nothing and you miss out on all the extra sales. And two is that your competition discovers it and implements it before you do. You know, I guess I should mention that I have a generous guarantee. I call it the double-double guarantee. And it works like this. If after 12 months you haven't at minimum doubled your investment, I'll give you double your money back. So when you take advantage of this webinar only special, you will have paid $10,764 over a year's time. And what I'm saying is, if you haven't gotten at least double that, roughly $22,000 in new profit, I will write you a check for $21,528. Now, let me be clear. You should be in positive ROI long before that. Probably not in month 1, but way before month 12. But if you give it a year and you haven't gotten enough new roofing jobs to give you at least $22,000 in profit, take advantage of my guarantee, and I will write you a check for twice what you paid. Now, this is on the honor system. I'm not going to demand to see your books. I'm not going to go looking for how you define profit. Frankly, in 1 year, I expect you to be thrilled with me, practically begging me to keep you on as a client for another year. So seriously, I'm not worried any of you are going to rip me off in 12 months. I want you to be totally comfortable and confident in your decision to get going with the Omni marketing system. So I want to take all the risk. The risk is on me to perform. But I'm not worried because the system works. It just does. The numbers don't lie. So it's not really a risk for me either. Okay, yeah, this is a bit salesy. I promised not to do salesy, but it is actually true. It is a time-sensitive offer because I only work with one roofer in a given geography. So if another roofer in your area signs up before you do, they'll get in and you won't. And I am being quite proactive right now in reaching out to roofers in all the major markets. So if you wait, not only do you lose out on the webinar special, you could lose out to your competition and not even be able to get in. Okay, so actually you have three options. Option one is our mother load package. That's on the right. That's everything we talked about tonight plus cold traffic campaigns. Now, I'm only going to mention it briefly because that's not the focus of today's training. But if you don't have enough traffic coming to your website, retargeting doesn't work. You got to have traffic. So the mother load adds an amazing traffic getting service. We can target people by search terms and the websites they might visit and a massive amount of demographics such as age, income level, zip code, the kind of cars they drive, the value of their homes, the number of kids, hundreds and hundreds of demographics and interests. So we can get your ads in front of the perfect people and get them to your website and then retarget to the ones that don't bite right away. I don't have a webinar special for that package, but it's still an amazing deal if you need cold traffic. That's all I'm going to say about that. Option two is the Omni marketing system I've already shown you. And option three is if you're interested and you meet all the criteria I listed, but you feel like you need a personal phone call before making the final decision. So option three is to schedule a call. But honestly, I've laid myself bare here. There's not much more I can tell you that would convince you to give it a try. But I do understand if you feel the need to have a personal conversation with me, so that's okay, that's fine. That's why I have option three. Now, only the Omni Marketing Special can be bought here directly from this page. If you're interested in the mother load, we should talk first and make sure it's a good fit for you. So for that, you'd schedule a call by clicking on the button. If you choose option three, because you want the Omni Marketing Special, but you want to get on a call first, I'll still give you the webinar special of $400 a month savings. But I'm only going to waive half the setup fee. If you want to get the full $1,000 setup fee waived, you need to click on the order button below. Oh, I almost forgot. I promised you some nice things if you stayed with me to the end. You recall I promised you the top 7 client capture partners, the one-page cheat sheet that breaks down the process in an overview, and the 65-page implementation guide. If you've decided to do this on your own and not take me up on my special offers, there's a link below this video that says, give me my free stuff. Click on that, enter your email address, and I'll mail those out to you right away. For those of you who are taking me up on option 1 or option 2, I'll get them to you as well. It's just that I'll already have your email address because you scheduled the call or you clicked on the order form. So you don't need to fill out a special form just to get your free stuff. Okay, so what happens next? When you decide to buy the Omni Marketing System now, after you click on the Order Now, you'll go to an order form where you fill out your name, company name, phone number, and payment information. You'll pay 50% right now. That's $448.50. After you submit the payment, I'll contact you to schedule our onboarding call. That'll take about 30 minutes. You'll also get an email with information about what you'll need to gather to give me. That call we have, the onboarding call, that will be with me and one of my techies. Most of the conversation will be with my tech. They'll make sure we have everything we need to get you up and running, but I'll be there to kind of maybe translate and to keep the relationship going. If you're scheduling a call to discuss either the Omni Marketing System or the mother load, you'll be taken to my online calendar scheduler. There, you'll enter your name, email, and phone number, and you'll see some available dates and times. Pick one, you'll get an email confirmation of the time, and you'll get a link to an online meeting. When your appointment time comes, make sure you're at a computer, not just your cell phone, and I will call you. You click on the link that for the meeting link that you get in the email, and that will connect you to my online meeting room. That way I can share my screen just in case we decide that showing you some things will help me answer your questions. That's not a requirement for the call though, but I have found it's helpful often in answering questions. Now, to get going with your Omni marketing system, we will need some things from you, and I'll explain all of that on our call and in an email. So, assuming you're able to get us everything we need on a timely basis, we should have you set up and running within 2 weeks, maybe 3. And you won't start actually seeing retargeting traffic right away, because the pixel code we put on your website needs time to collect visitors to put into our custom audience buckets. In other words, we're not going to be able to retarget people that visited you last month, the last year, before we started this, before we put the tracking pixel on your website. It's only going to be able to retarget people from the time that we put the pixel on your site. That makes sense, right? Whew. Okay. That was a lot of information, and we spent a lot of time together. I am really looking forward to meeting you soon, providing you with an amazing service, and getting you tons of new roofing jobs. Thanks so much for being with me today. I hope you have a wonderful and productive rest of the day, rest of the week, month, heck, have a great year. Thanks again, guys, and bye for now. This is Keith Price. Thanks again.